So Abby Martin is a journalist. She's made a number of documentaries regarding U.S. imperialism, and here she is talking about. So there was a story that recently broke where it was an anonymous tip that Russia was paying the Taliban to basically take out U.S. soldiers, and basically Democrats and just everyone that's anti-Trump ran with this and said that this was another example of him just bowing down to Putin. And some people are a little curious about it. So here's Abby Martin going over why she sees some holes in the narrative.
There's a couple things about the narrative that we need to dissect here. The first is that outlets everywhere just cited this as fact. And when you dig into the story, that every outlet was just kind of running with that headline that Russia's paying bounties to kill US soldiers, it was all predicated on anonymous US intelligence officials, basically with no evidence backing it up. And you even saw the New York Times say that they disagreed within the intelligence community that this was a fact, specifically the NSA. And I think that the logic itself doesn't hold up. Why would the Taliban need Russian money to kill US soldiers? I mean, they've been fighting the US for the last 20 years there. It doesn't seem logical to have to get Russian money in order to kill the enemy on the battlefield, right? But I think, moreover, it says a lot about the priorities of American citizens and the journalistic community as a whole, and kind of this Beltway establishment press that only seems to care about US soldiers dying when it involves Russia.
And so, I mean, she's some that a beautiful summation of it. And this also, I mean, this was very, very evident when Donald Trump was withdrawing the troops from Syria, and it was all these people. So this was probably about a year ago at this point. But Donald Trump was going to withdraw these troops from Syria, and the troops that were there, they were protecting Kurdish people, and they were also engaging in the Syrian civil war. But as soon as he wanted to do that, you had all these people that could not care less about the Kurdish people normally, just going like, oh my gosh, how is he abandoning the Kurdish people? This is him bowing down to Russia because Assad and Syria is allied with Russia. And so whenever Trump makes any sort of anti-imperialist move, this wasn't even an anti-imperialist move, but whenever he makes any sort of anti-war move, you see all these people saying like, oh, well, I guess he just wants to give over the whole world to Russia, which is, I mean, it was why this whole Russia Gate narrative is just so damaging, and there's honestly nothing that really supports it. But I mean, so true. What, the Taliban doesn't need evidence to kill U.S. soldiers. The Taliban's been trying to kill U.S. soldiers for the last 15 years. We've been occupying their country for almost 2 decades, and so I mean, there's no logic behind this, and it just is so upsetting that the opposition to this is not like, I mean, we have no real opposition party in this country where the opposition is like, oh, you should just be more aggressive towards Russia, even though like Trump literally didn't do anything. Like, he said that he's going to withdraw from Afghanistan, but we're not. And instead of saying like, oh, we shouldn't be in Afghanistan, then the Taliban can't kill our soldiers there. Instead, they have these people saying like, well, we need to strengthen our presence there, and we need to fight the Taliban harder, even though we've been doing it for 15 years and it hasn't been successful. And so I just, it's crazy, and this will 100% be used against any sort of leftist president. When one finally gets elected, hopefully AOC, fingers crossed. But if she wanted to withdraw us from Iraq, Afghanistan, any number of places, because I have a hard time believing that Joe Biden will do that. So say AOC gets elected and she starts trying to do that, people will use the same argument that she is a tool of Russia, because this is not a smear that is going to be unique to Republicans or Donald Trump. This is going to be something that will be used against the left, and we saw a little bit of it. We saw a little bit of that in the primary. There were people saying that Bernie Sanders was getting support from Russia, and there was basically no evidence to support this. And it's always, I mean, there's always so much irony in the fact that, I mean, the U.S. meddles in other countries' elections all the time, sometimes very aggressively, sometimes literally going against other countries' election results and taking out their leaders. And so it's very ironic anytime the U.S. would get upset about another country meddling in our elections. And like, I'm sure that Russia does have a favorite. I'm sure that they do, because I mean, especially, I don't see honestly what the big difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump would be regarding their stances towards Russia. I mean, yeah, Donald Trump was using a lot of anti-war rhetoric, but if you looked at the people that were behind him, you kind of had a feeling that it wasn't going to be the case. And obviously Hillary Clinton, very, very hawkish. And so I just, there's no reason to think that if we're looking at Joe Biden and Donald Trump, that Russia would have any clear favorite. There's really no reason to think that. And so anyway, I'm glad that Abby Martin was just able to really put this in terms that I feel like are really easy to understand. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you disagree with anything I said, or if I got anything wrong, please leave a comment down below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.